I just wanted to share with you one lesson that I'm going to be teaching and ask if you had some ways that you could support that lesson in your class. So I'm starting with a short story and a poem that are dealing with the concept of truth. The theme we're going with is this idea of picking the best of two options. So do you tell the complete unvarnished truth, or do you sugarcoat the truth? And I was wondering what you could do in your class with this concept of picking the best option, and what specifically informational texts you could bring in for our students in your class.
Well, I don't know about any text I can bring in, but with the best option in Algebra 2, we're doing looking at functions and data and which one fits the data best. So we do a correlation between the two data and see if which line or which parabola fits the data best.
So that language, correlation, causation, they learn that, that language.
A correlation is just a relationship between the two variables, and it doesn't necessarily mean there's a cause between the two.
Right.
It doesn't mean one causes the other. It just means they do have a correlation.
Right. So that's a language piece where I can pick up too. In this story we're doing, we can talk about correlation and causation.
We can share that common language.
Okay, cool.
One thing that I look at to gauge the effectiveness of our PLC teams is, to sit in on the conversations and to listen for how the teachers are not just contributing their own ideas, but how they're taking other people's ideas and kind of fitting those things into, I guess, a common understanding.
Working with the PLC really has changed my lesson plans, and basically what I used to do is I just, I closed my door and taught my subject. Didn't care what the other classes are doing. Now when I start to plan a class or look at a class, I say, now where can I hit, or where does this hit in the history? Where's the science going to be next week so we can get together? Or what Dr. Dickey doing in the engineering so that she and I can work together and talk with the students? We use common language, a common vocabulary that we want to talk together. And in the PLC, that's what we talk about.
In my class, we're talking about the Gilded Age. We're studying corruption and gilded politics and the economy. We're looking at the presidents of the Gilded Age. We're looking at big business and how enterprise and innovation would be affected by corruption. So obviously, I think finding what is moral or what is true about certain things like that, we will be referencing a Mark Twain quote that says, what is the chief end of man? And everybody kind of thinks about what is the demise of the human man. And Twain says to get rich. And he says, honestly, dishonestly if we can, honestly if we must. So to say dishonestly promotes Twain's thinking that people are going to do whatever they can to get ahead. And that's clear when you focus on big business and monopolies during the Gilded Age.
A PLC provides the opportunity for teachers to get together and to really brainstorm to kind of create a blueprint for that level of learning. It gives us the opportunity to actually start with what it is, what the end result is that we're looking for, and then to work and think, how am I going to solve this problem?
For mine, we're studying specific heat, and that doesn't really involve any sort of correlation, or it's just specific heat. This is what it is for a specific material. But when you take it and apply it to a real world context in terms of energy transfer and conductivity between materials, then you can apply that to cookware. And I found an article that lists different types of properties of cookware and how cookware is made, or the comparison of different kinds of cookware based on 4 different factors: thermal conductivity, heat capacity, thermal diffusivity, and reactivity. So if we look at all those together and apply that to specific heat, I think that takes it a step further than just this is a specific heat problem. So we can take that and look at it and analyze that in terms of which material is best to make cookware out of. Having different areas of instruction within our PLC really just makes it more well-rounded for me. It's not just this is the science answer, it's this is the answer I can give you based on all of my background knowledge that I gained from working with all of your other teachers and my colleagues.
We have a decision matrix in engineering, And what they're doing for thermodynamics in that part is they have this acrylic box that's about 10 by 10, and part of their homework assignment is to get something out of the trash, something that is recyclable, and do a composite material 10 by 10 that they lay on top of this acrylic box. So we have a light bulb in it, and we have the veneer probes that we put in it to measure the temperature changes both on the inside and the outside. And so we can see what composite material would be best thermal conductivity for that. So that would tie in with Megan's, but they would also be able to use their decision matrix to decide the best materials and why.
And your probe will also give us some data to examine?
Exactly.
So that we
Very
can
good
graph that
data.
in my class?
Yes, very good data. They'll have that, and they'll be able to plot it in Excel.
It means a lot to the students that they have something they've actually done with their own two hands, data they've actually created. They've able to use it in applying how Mr. Everett can apply it to what he's teaching them. And it means a lot more to the students if it's something real to them other than something totally abstract. And they can actually take this data and plot it in Excel and take this data over to Mr. Everett's algebra class. They can derive the slope at which the temperature changed, and the off chance that it's not linear, they'll be able to derive more than just a slope of that, what type of graph it is. There are all kinds of applications that he can use in his algebra class for that data.
So I'm wondering, if you think about our sophomores, do you have any really great pairings, or do you have any students that I should be concerned about who I put with each other?
I think that Adiani and Maddie might be a good group.
That's a great pair.
I think that they both kind of have different interpretations. One is a bit more vocal and outgoing, and the other is a bit more reserved. But in knowing and grading former writing samples and history of both of their work last year, I know that they both can justify very well. And I think that even though they may have conflicting views, I think they would be able to do that. They would be able to justify their means, or kind of have the ability to agree to disagree kind of thing, but share and maybe enlighten the other on
Very cool.
a specific perspective
Very
that they
cool.
might have.
Anybody else you can think of? I was wondering about trying to pair by a more logical thinking partner with maybe a more creative thinking partner.
That's what I was just thinking, that
Yeah.
the mathematical people, you need to try to match them up with one of those that are,
I think Alexander and Cassandra.
Ooh, that's a great pairing.
Logical with creative.
Oh, fantastic.
Exactly.
That's a great pairing.
Yeah.
That'll be good. Anybody you guys
I've
can
always
think
kind of
of?
heard that if you get two of the more introverted students together, it forces them to come out.
Okay.
Because they're going to have to do that. Someone's
Okay.
going to have to come up with an answer. Whether if you put one with a stronger student,
They
the stronger one will just take
takes the
over.
lead. Okay.
Yeah.
So can you think about two of our sophomores that you think could benefit from working together?
I know Alexander George
Okay.
is very quiet,
Okay.
and I have to pull him out all the time.
Okay.
Maybe with Jonathan Miller.
Oh, good
So they
pairing.
don't normally talk.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's a good
It would
pairing.
force them
Yes.
to talk, and they're both
Okay.
very smart.
Yes, very.
Yes.
PLC is really helpful when I get recommendations for how to pair my students, how to frame my lesson, maybe even ways to assess my students. Sometimes as department teachers, we get so ingrained into what we're doing that we forget about that bigger picture of our students being people. And so it's helpful when the history teacher reminds me that this pair is one very creative student and one very logical thinker. And so that idea to put them together, it's just a really good reminder to keep me on my toes.
I was just wondering if you had any suggestions, specifically with as much writing as Common Core has them doing. I just wondered if you had any suggestions for monitoring my time period that I'm using in the class.
I don't know if you'd be interested in having two groups check the other group.
Okay.
They could do that.
That's a really
Or
great suggestion.
whenever you give the group, give one student, say, in Alexander and Cassandra's group, you'll be the A partner, you'll be the B partner, and then after every partner has worked, then you could say, okay, A's find another B, or if you were looking for specific writing components to be present in everyone's, you could put those on the board and then just say, okay, make sure your partner checks this and make sure the other group checks this,
Okay.
so that they're kind of been double checked, you know,
Yeah.
and they have a visual.
Okay.
And of course, you've already told them the
That's fantastic.
verbal instruction.
Just on a basic level, you could use a timer.
Okay.
Because I use a timer during my class whenever we're whiteboarding. They know they have 5 minutes to get their whiteboard done, and then each group has about 2 to 3 minutes to explain what they have on the whiteboard.
Well, thanks for all of your help with this lesson. I think that all of the suggestions you've made will really improve the lesson for our students.
The greatest benefit of working in a PLC is the support, the collaboration that we have, that we are for each other. We are there for each other professionally. We're there to bounce ideas off of. We're there for support. We're there for collaboration. We plan together. We assess students together. And that support that we get from one another is the biggest benefit of a PLC.
The benefits of the PLC that I've seen with my teachers has been the sense of teamwork that they've developed over time, the changes that I've seen in their teaching and in their ability to not just teach their own content areas, but be able to talk about and assist with the other teachers' content has been amazing. They know what the other teachers are teaching at certain points of the year. So they're trying to plan ahead already for different topics that they thought, they might have missed it last year. And the other thing that I've noticed is the sense of responsibility that they've all taken for all of the students. With high school, I think in particular, it's not as much about our students and our school as it is about my students, just because high school teachers tend to be very isolated. And so they have all, as a team, taken responsibility for and feel accountable for all of the students and their learning experience.